it could be a huge issue for them. Didn't Facebook have like some huge issues with stuff going on with their Facebook Live? So, YouTube were entrepreneurs. Who's going to sue them? They didn't have anything to sue. So in Google, they had the same technology, but their management had to protect themselves, and their platform said, if you submit a video, we will post it in 24 hours. So they had to review everything before it was posted. Who wants that? The YouTube people said, just put it up there. We don't care what it is, right? Just put it up there. And there was a lot of crap. Well, there was. So what happened? So Google never launched. YouTube, they had a lot of issues that worked out the first 5 or 6 years or so. And then what happened? They were bought by Google. Because the risk was already gone, right? They worked out all the risk. Same thing for Uber. Okay? Uber, you try to get, if you're a large company and you're going to try to go get all these municipalities to allow random people to drive, and you're kicking out the taxi drivers at the airports, you're not going to have very happy stockholders, right? You're not going to get a good reputation. So larger companies don't do things, not because they don't have the talent or they don't have the idea. It's typically because the risk is, they've assessed the risk to be too large to them. So this process is to mitigate the risk. If you're going to do software development, anybody ever hear of Agile? The Agile process? You have?
Yep.
Have you worked in a project like that?
Yeah, I saw my internship.
In an internship?
Yeah, they had 2-week sprints, all the regular rep.
Yeah, 2-week sprints. So software is very complex now, right? There's so many moving parts, and it's all interchangeable. And if you tried to, not test anything or roll it out until the whole thing was done, it would take you years. And so they've now decided to do little bite-sized chunks, I guess, and they have what they call 2-week sprints, where they discover, they design, they develop, and then they test it. And once that part of the software works, then they'll move on to another part, and they'll do it. Now they might have, they could have 10 teams doing 10 different parts of the software that they're all testing at the same time, but it's really helped speed up the process rather than being, we're going to do this, and then we're going to build something else onto that, and build something else onto that. So you may be involved in an agile development. So project management. Anybody? That's what you're doing, right? Aren't you doing project management? All of you right here in EPICS are doing project management. That is, do you know you can get, there's an organization, the PMI organization, Project Management Institute, and you can get a certification in project management. It's very, very important because a project within a company is a temporary thing. It's not permanent, not like finance is or marketing. It's not. So you're going to get a bunch of people from different parts of the company, different functions coming together to work on a project. They may not know each other, they may never have worked on each other, and they all will have different roles they play. So it's got, a beginning and an end, and it's unique, so it's not routine. You've got to accomplish a goal. So there's a lot of software that you can use for project management. But being able to manage a project on time, on budget, getting the results you need, and then transitioning that into your organization, right? So right now, Purdue's going through the HR thing. They're now going to SAP, right? It's a big software thing. So there's a bunch of people, they're changing the computer system of how they pay people and keep track of HR records. So there's people that have to manage that project. And that's a big project. All these moving pieces, how do you do that? How do you keep it on track? How do you deliver it on time? And then once it's here, how do you train everybody who's working here to use the new system? It's project management. There's tons of jobs in that field. It's a very easy thing for an engineer to do. Can be lucrative if you get the certifications. And it's a skill that you're developing right now in this class. So how many of you are inheriting a project from last semester that was supposed to be done that wasn't? Would that, okay. Now, there's always projects that get delayed, okay? And they always are. But some delays aren't really necessary. Like, they should have known the load, right? Was your delay necessary?
The thing is that I was in the last semester too, and we started with that project in the middle of the semester. We have no idea how much time will it actually get us to get it finished. So we'll pretty much thought that we'll do it in one semester, but it took way more time than we thought.
Right. So I used to say, given enough time and money, I can invent anything.
Yeah.
Right? Elon Musk, going to Mars. He's got the time and he's got the money, right? Nobody else does. That's why they're not working on it. Right? So you didn't estimate correctly how much time it was going to take.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because that's what you're here to learn. You shouldn't already know that, okay? But managing projects is very, very important. So there's usually the initiation. Getting at what's the scope of this project? What are we supposed to do? What are the requirements that we need? What looks like success? In your project, are they requiring you to do all that validation or testing, or do they just want the prototype? What is the success? How do we know we're going to be successful? Then, when you know what success looks like, you can plan for that. Plan what you need to do. Then everybody has to do it, right? You got to execute. But as people are executing, you got to monitor and control it. Anybody work on the Hyperloop? Did you know we had a Hyperloop team here that competed with, and they built a Hyperloop? Really cool thing. They really fell down with this. It was like, oh, well, so-and-so was supposed to do the brakes, but the brakes weren't done and the motor was not, so they couldn't monitor and control it. So that when it came time to deliver it, they were, frantically working to meet the deadlines. They didn't get the right amount of time to test and all that. They still did really well. And I think, you're students, so that's what you're here to do. But just think about this as those 5 different steps in project management. So what's the scope of your project? Are we going all the way to FDA, or are we stopping at the prototype? What does a prototype? Do you want a prototype that you can actually put patients in, or can we do it on a 3D machine, on a 3D printer, and just, demonstrate the feasibility? How much time? You all know you have a semester. How much money do you have? What's the quality you're looking for? Can you help us procure any materials? Well, I don't know what they use to test if you have AFib. You got to get somebody to help you buy that, right? Got to work with your people, communicate, and, manage your risk. So, right now, you all have to have different skills than I had to when I was here way, way, way long ago. I was here when the computers were the size of this room. Leadership skills. Everybody talks about that all the time, don't they? What does that mean to you, leadership skills? What does it mean?
Somebody that can inspire other people to either get the work done or to work harder and be better too?
That's inspire. That's a very good word. It's not somebody who does all the work, right? Inspire somebody to do the work. Can you inspire somebody to do the work if you don't know what work needs to be done?
Well, usually the leader is the one who, or the leader is the one who figures out what needs to be done too.
There's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily think they have to have the expertise to lead. They just think, I can lead anything. Expertise is important. Emerging as a leader within a field of mechanical engineering or whatever engineering you're doing is going to be, not everybody wants to be a leader. Some people, I've had people working for me that they just loved CAD. I mean, they could spend, like it was like a video game for them. They were addicted. Like they called them CAD jockeys. They would just do CAD all day long. And they loved it. I, on the other hand, would not love that kind of a job. But that's great. That's why we're all different. We need those differences. So, developing leadership skills. Managing uncertainty. You're doing that right now, right? You know you have goals in your projects. You may not know how you're going to get there yet. It's not clear yet. But you are doing things, you're doing experiments that are going to tell you what to do next, and you've got a plan and you've got a process in place that's going to help you get to the end. That's managing uncertainty. You're managing a lot of uncertainty. It's a very important skill to manage uncertainty, okay? That is what entrepreneurs do all the time. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's what people that work in innovation do. They manage uncertainty. I have no clue how I'm going to solve this problem, but I'm certain I'm going to figure it out, right? So managing uncertainty. And collaborating and communicating. You're doing it with people that don't even have the same language that you have. People have different skill set. You're dealing with doctors. What other you're dealing with an interpreter, somebody who's telling you that this is what they want. Okay? Collaborating. And you have to become competent at managing people, projects, and budgets, which is what EPICS is. It's perfect for you. It's a great, great opportunity for you to apply these skills. So, an engineer designs a process and solves a problem. An entrepreneur sees an opportunity in the marketplace in the form of problems or unmet needs. So as an engineer, you can also be an entrepreneur. You can see those problems and you can solve them. A lot of entrepreneurs have to go find people like you to help them solve the problems. You can find them yourself and do it on your own. Okay, so here's a definition of an entrepreneur. They assemble resources. You're doing that now, right? They refer to starting a new business. Some think that I was just reading an article. Anybody hear of the company called Stitch Fix? Stitch Fix. Come on, women. Went to an IPO in 2017. It was started in 2011 by a woman. And what they do is they have personal shoppers who put together outfits for you and they send them to you and you try them on in your home and you keep what you like and you send back what you don't like. And she started selling to her 30 friends, and she would buy clothes from the store and put it on her credit card, and when they didn't buy the stuff, she would return it. And that 30 went to 60, and that 60 went to 300. Now they're a $1 billion business. So it's usually something that starts out small and then grows. And you also have the opportunity to become an entrepreneur in product development. It's 5:20, right? That's when we're done. So any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has. Did you know you were, doing the perfect project in school and having the perfect degree to become an entrepreneur? Did you know that? I hope I've convinced some of you at least. Check out our program, our certificate program, because it is a good way for engineers to get at least some business classes. We're not in the business school, it's not going to be accounting or marketing, but you're going to see different elements of that. So, thank you.